Welcome back to the channel, and thank you for joining us in this difficult moment. Within the last 24 hours, we've lost not just celebrities, but cherished voices, beloved faces, and irreplaceable souls who helped shape the heart and spirit of our nation. Their presence, their passion, and their purpose touched millions, leaving behind legacies that will echo through time. Saying goodbye is never easy, especially to those who brought comfort, joy, and inspiration into our lives. Today, we take a moment not only to grieve, but to celebrate the lives they lived, the dreams they chased, and the light they shared with the world. If their story, their art, or their voice ever meant something to you, even for a moment, I invite you to show your respect by liking this video. Let's honor them together with love, remembrance, and gratitude. Thank you for being here. Let's begin. Danielle Spencer, best known for her unforgettable portrayal of Dee Thomas on the beloved 1970s sitcom What's Happening, has passed away at the age of 59. From the show's debut in 1976 until its heartfelt finale in 1979, Spencer graced every single episode, becoming a constant and cherished presence in the Thomas household. Audiences adored her quick wit, expressive reactions, and the authenticity she infused into Dee, a character who could deliver a razor-sharp one-liner with ease, yet also radiate genuine warmth and tenderness. One of her most iconic storylines unfolded in the first season, when Dee cleverly exposed her brother Raj's schemes, a recurring gag that quickly became a fan favorite. Viewers delighted in her perfect blend of sass and charm, often recalling her signature eye rolls and knowing smiles as some of the series' most enduring and beloved images. Her performance helped shape Dee into one of television's most relatable and memorable little sisters, securing Spencer's place in the pantheon of sitcom history. Born on June 24, 1966, in Trenton, New Jersey, Spencer began acting as a child and found instant success with What's Happening. She later reprised her role in the 1980s revival What's Happening Now, continuing to entertain longtime fans while captivating a new generation. Beyond her acting career, Spencer pursued a path of compassion and care as a veterinarian, earning her degree and dedicating herself to the well-being of animals. She occasionally returned to television for interviews and cast reunions, keeping the spirit of the show alive. Even after her passing on August 11, 2025, fans continue to revisit her episodes, rediscovering the same warmth, humor, and spark that made Dee unforgettable. Danielle Spencer's legacy lives on in the laughter she inspired, the fond memories she created, and the timeless charm she brought to one of TV's most iconic families. For those who wish to honor Danielle Spencer's warmth, humor, and indelible presence on screen, leave a comment with the number 59, her age, or simply write Danielle Spencer to celebrate the life and legacy she leaves behind. Jon Miyahara, best known for his work as a versatile and deeply respected character actor in both television and film, has died at the age of 69. Over a career spanning several decades, Miyahara brought profound depth and authenticity to every role he inhabited, earning the admiration of audiences and the respect of his peers. From early appearances in network dramas to standout performances in independent films, Miyahara possessed a rare talent for disappearing into his characters, making each portrayal feel lived in and true. Fans fondly remember his breakout role in the mid-1990s crime series Harbor Lights, where he portrayed Detective Alan Sato, a character that showcased Miyahara's understated intensity and his remarkable ability to convey emotion through the subtlest of gestures. One of his most unforgettable scenes came in the season finale, when Sato risked everything to save a partner, leaving viewers both stunned and deeply moved. Born on March 2, 1956 in Honolulu, Hawaii, Miyahara's love for performing began in community theater before he transitioned to on-screen work. His Japanese-American heritage informed many of his roles, allowing him to bring authenticity and nuance to stories centered on identity, family, and cultural connection. He was a vocal advocate for representation in media, lending his voice to projects that reflected diverse perspectives and experiences. In addition to his acting career, Miyahara was a generous mentor to young performers, offering guidance on craft, professionalism, and the emotional truth of storytelling. Off-screen, friends and colleagues remember his warmth, generosity, and unshakable sense of humor, qualities that made him beloved both on set and in his personal life. Jon Miyahara passed away on August 7, 2025, surrounded by family and friends. Even after his passing, audiences continue to revisit his performances, finding in them the same quiet strength and sincerity that defined his work. His legacy endures in the stories he helped tell, the lives he touched, and the truth he brought to every role. Nancy King, celebrated as a gifted jazz vocalist whose warm tone and impeccable phrasing captivated audiences for decades, has died at the age of 74. From intimate clubs to grand festival stages, King's performances combined technical mastery with emotional openness, making every song feel like a deeply personal conversation. Her career gained momentum in the late 1970s when she became a fixture on the vibrant West Coast jazz scene. Fans still recall her standout 1983 live recording at the Monterey Jazz Festival, where her rendition of My Funny Valentine earned a standing ovation and cemented her reputation as a singer who could breathe new life into familiar standards. She brought that same level of artistry to every performance, whether fronting a big band or working in a small combo. Born on October 17, 1950, in Ann Arbor, Michigan, King was drawn to music from an early age. She studied classical voice before turning to jazz, a transition that gave her singing both precision and a liberating sense of freedom. Throughout her career, she collaborated with renowned musicians, appeared on acclaimed recordings, and taught master classes that inspired a new generation of jazz artists. One of the most cherished aspects of her life was her role as a mentor. Students remember her gentle guidance, her insistence on storytelling through song, and her belief that jazz was as much about listening as it was about singing. Offstage, she was known for her generosity, quick humor, and unwavering support of her fellow musicians. Nancy King passed away on August 5, 2025, surrounded by family and friends. Even after her passing, her voice continues to echo in recordings, in the memories of live audiences, and in the artistry of those she taught. Her legacy is one of elegance, sincerity, and a deep love for the music she devoted her life to. Flaco Jiménez, the legendary accordionist whose joyful, unmistakable sound brought Tex-Mex and conjunto music to audiences around the globe, has died at the age of 86. Known for his dazzling technique and infectious energy, Jiménez's music transcended borders, blending Mexican folk traditions with country, rock, and blues to create a sound uniquely his own. From his earliest performances in San Antonio's dance halls to sharing stages with global icons, Jiménez's career was filled with moments that redefined the reach and power of accordion-driven music. Fans fondly remember his collaborations with the Texas Tornadoes and Los Super 7, as well as his Grammy-winning work alongside artists like Ry Cooder and Dwight Yoakam. One of his most celebrated appearances came in 1992, when he played on All You Ever Do Is Bring Me Down with the Mavericks, delivering a solo that radiated joy, soul, and authenticity. Born on March 11, 1939, into a family deeply rooted in conjunto tradition, Jiménez learned the accordion from his father, Santiago Jiménez Sr., himself a celebrated musician. By his teenage years, Flaco was already a sought-after performer, known for a style that could be heartbreakingly tender or explosively danceable. His music became a bridge, connecting generations, cultures, and genres, and earned him multiple Grammy Awards and a place in the Tejano Music Hall of Fame. Offstage, Jiménez was a humble and generous figure, always ready to share a story, encourage young musicians, or join a jam session simply for the love of the music. His smile and easy laugh were as much a part of his shows as the accordion he played with such mastery. Flaco Jiménez passed away on July 31, 2025, leaving behind a legacy that will continue to echo in dance halls, on festival stages, and in the hearts of fans everywhere. His music was more than entertainment. It was a celebration of life, culture, and the joy of bringing people together. for everyone who will remember Flaco Jiménez's music, joy, and the way his accordion could light up a room, leave a comment with the number 86, his age, or simply write R.I.P. Flaco Jiménez to honor the life and legacy of this legendary artist. James Whale, the outspoken and quick-witted broadcaster who became one of the most distinctive voices in British radio and television, has died at the age of 73. Known for his sharp humor, fearless opinions, and unique ability to turn even the most heated debates into compelling entertainment, Whale's presence behind the microphone was nothing short of unforgettable. From his early days hosting the James Whale radio show in the late 1980s, he cultivated a loyal following drawn to his unfiltered style and his willingness to challenge both guests and listeners. His late-night television program on ITV became a cult hit, mixing interviews, phone-ins, and offbeat humor in a way that felt fresh, unpredictable, and distinctly his own. Fans still recall his on-air sparring matches and moments of biting satire, the kind that could make them laugh, think, and sometimes shout back at the radio. Born on May 13, 1951, in Surrey, England, Whale began his career in local radio before rising to national prominence. Over the decades, he moved seamlessly between radio and television, with notable stints on Talk Sport, LBC, and Talk Radio, where his voice became a fixture of the UK airwaves. Even as broadcasting trends evolved, Whale remained true to his distinctive style, blending confrontational debate with flashes of warmth and empathy that often surprised first-time listeners. In recent years, Whale was candid about his health battles, facing them with the same candor and resilience he brought to his shows. For countless listeners, his voice was more than just sound. It was a nightly companion, a spark of unpredictability, and a reminder that radio could be as thrilling, raw, and immediate as any stage or screen. Ozzy Osbourne, best known as the Prince of Darkness and a founding voice of heavy metal, has died at the age of 76. From the first thunderous rumble of Black Sabbath in 1970 to the arena-shaking roar of his solo tours, Ozzy transformed raw sound into myth, making millions feel unruly, alive, and seen. From 1969 to 1979, his unmistakable wail crowned Sabbath classics like Paranoid, War Pigs, and Iron Man. Fans remember how he could ride a riff like a storm, then crack the gloom with a grin that felt like rebellion. One of his most unforgettable chapters arrived with his solo debut Blizzard of Oz in 1980. The all-aboard siren of Crazy Train, the cathedral drama of Mr. Crowley, and his electrifying partnership with guitar prodigy Randy Rhoads marked a new era of sonic legend. Later hits such as Bark at the Moon, No More Tears, and Mama, I'm Coming Home proved he could evolve without ever losing the spark. Ozfest carried that fire across continents, giving new bands a stage and veterans a second wind. Born John Michael Osborne on December 3, 1948, in Birmingham, England, he grew up in a factory town where music was both escape and survival. The scrappy wit, the working-class grit, the sense that misfits belonged, he carried all of it across the world. In the 2000s, the Osbournes opened the door to the household behind the growl. Sharon's steel, the kids' wisecracks, and Ozzy's shambling sweetness turned mutters into punchlines and chaos into charm. Through health scares and setbacks, he returned again and again to studio and stage, winning new praise and new listeners. Even after his passing on July 22, 2025, fans keep replaying the moments, the first doom-laden chord, the whistle before Crazy Train, the slow rise of a chorus that suddenly felt like a rallying cry. They remember the doves and bats and mischief, the defiant humor that proved heavy music could be both terrifying and tender. His legacy lives in power chords and late-night friendships, in teenagers finding courage in a lyric, in families who sing along in cars and festival fields. If metal is a refuge for the strange, the loud, and the faithful, then Ozzy was its welcoming gatekeeper, smiling, howling, waving everyone inside. And somewhere, just before the band kicks in, you can still hear him at the mic, all aboard. And the world jumps the rails. Long live the roar. For those who will forever remember Ozzy Osbourne's raw spirit and the way he made the strange feel like home, leave a comment with the number 76, his age, or simply write P. Ozzy Osbourne to honor the life, music, and legacy of the Prince of Darkness. Alan Bergman, best known as one half of the songwriting duo behind some of America's most poignant film and television melodies, has died at the age of 99. For over 6 decades, his lyrical voice, paired with that of his late wife, Marilyn, wove words into music that became the emotional backdrop of millions of lives, from silver screen romances to sitcom living rooms. One of the most unforgettable moments in that storied career came in 1974, when the way we were soared from the film's opening credits into America's collective memory. Streisand's voice, set to Alan and Marilyn's words and Marvin Hamlish's melody, sparked tears and nostalgia every time it played. It wasn't just a hit, it was an anthem of memory itself, earning them an Oscar, a Grammy, and a permanent place in the hearts of listeners moved by that opening stanza. Memories light the corners of my mind. Born September 11th, 1925, in Brooklyn, New York, Alan's musical journey began early, piano lessons by age 6, dreams of songwriting by 11. After serving in World War II and earning degrees at UNC and UCLA, he landed in Philadelphia working for television. A chance mentorship with Johnny Mercer ignited his passion for lyricism and led him to Los Angeles, where a collaboration with composer Lou Spence introduced him to Marilyn. That partnership, both personal and creative, would become legendary. Together, the Borgmans taught emotions to notes. It began with Yellow Bird, earned their first Oscar with The Windmills of Your Mind, and continued through classics like In the Heat of the Night, Tootsie's It Might Be You, and the moving score of Yentl. They also penned timeless TV themes, Maude, Alice, and Good Times, becoming part of households' opening themes and Sunday routines. Over time, they amassed 3 Academy Awards, 4 Emmys, 2 Grammys, and earned a spot in the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 1980. Marilyn's passing in 2022 marked the end of their earthly duet. Still, Alan kept writing. His pen kept moving, his creativity alive. He passed away peacefully at home in Los Angeles on July 17, 2025, with their daughter Julie at his side. Even now, fans revisit those songs and feel the echo of his words. The ache of Papa, can you hear me? The swirl of windmills and the bittersweet memory of the way we were. His legacy lives on in cinematic melodies that make us pause, in theaters, on vinyl, and in quiet hearts. Through melody and memory, Alan Bergman's lyricism will always have a place in the songbook of reflection and emotion. Ray DeJohn, best known as Brooklyn's trailblazing stand-up comedian and co-founder of Video Music Box, has died at the age of 63, just one day before what would have been his 64th birthday. From the clubs of Brooklyn to the studios of hip-hop television, DeJohn blended bold humor with community spirit, becoming both a hometown legend and a beacon of pride for his city. Across more than 25 years, DeJohn hosted hundreds of comedy shows, from intimate rooms to crowds surpassing 5,000, making audiences feel like part of an inside joke. One of the most unforgettable moments of his career came as he prepared to host a roast at his own venue, 275 Park Laughaholics in Clinton Hill, to mark his birthday. In his final Instagram video before passing, he urged fans to buy tickets, his eyes lighting up with infectious excitement. That upcoming roast was meant to be a celebration of laughter, connection, and the vibrant humor he had always championed. Born in Brooklyn in the early 1960s, DeJohn grew up immersed in his neighborhood's rhythms. He survived a stroke that left him temporarily paralyzed on one side and battled addiction, experiences he later turned into testimony, openly sharing his struggles and mentoring young adults facing similar challenges. His resilience added depth to his punchlines and helped him forge bonds far beyond the stage. He famously said comedy was medicine, and he delivered doses with compassion and grace. DeJohn's contributions went deeper than one-liners. He co-founded Brooklyn's first Black-owned comedy venue, creating a space where diverse voices could thrive. He also hosted and interviewed music legends, earning fans through empathy and cultural insight, not just sharp wit. He interviewed icons like Stevie Wonder and Alicia Keys, building bridges between comedy, music, and community. Ray DeJohn passed away on July 14, 2025, just a day before his 64th birthday. The shock of his sudden loss rippled through social media and comedy stages alike. Fellow comedians called him a king of Brooklyn comedy. Fans called him a friend. And those who followed his journey called him a champion of community, resilience, and laughter. Even after his passing, Ray DeJohn's legacy lives on in the laughter that echoes at open mic nights, in the vibrant spirit of Laughaholics Comedy Club, and in every performer who steps on stage remembering the man who carved out a place for all of them. His humor, hope, and heart continue to shine long after the last roars of laughter have faded. Ryne Sandberg, the Hall of Fame second baseman whose quiet brilliance and flawless defense made him a Chicago Cubs legend, has died at the age of 63. Over 16 seasons in Major League Baseball, 15 of them with the Cubs, Sandberg became the gold standard at his position, pairing slick fielding with consistent power at the plate. Fans still talk about June 23, 1984, the day he delivered one of baseball's most iconic performances, facing the St. Louis Cardinals in a nationally televised game. Sandberg hit not one but two game-tying home runs, one in the 9th inning and another in the 10th, cementing a comeback win and etching his name into Cubs lore. That day became known as the Sandberg Game, a turning point in the Cubs' season and in his career. Born September 18, 1959 in Spokane, Washington, Sandberg was drafted by the Philadelphia Phillies in 1978 before being traded to Chicago, where he found his true home. His legacy lives on in every smooth pivot at second base, every clutch swing in a pressure moment, and in the hearts of fans who cherished his steady excellence. For the Cubs faithful, Ryne Sandberg wasn't just a player. He was the embodiment of how the game should be played, with skill, respect, and quiet dignity. Helen Cornelius, best known as the graceful voice behind a string of beloved country duets with Jim Ed Brown, has died at the age of 83. From the heady days of 1970s country radio to her warm and enduring presence on Branson stages, Cornelius's voice carried stories of love, longing, and timeless melody into the hearts of millions. In 1976, she and Jim Ed Brown recorded their first duet, "I Don't Want to Have to Marry You." The song's heartfelt lyrics and undeniable chemistry instantly struck a chord, soaring to #1 on the charts, and launching a musical partnership that would become one of country music's most cherished collaborations. One of their most unforgettable moments came in 1977, when they received the Country Music Association Award for Vocal Duo of the Year, a moment that confirmed they weren't just performers, but symbols of genuine artistic connection. Born Helen Laureen Johnson on December 6, 1941, on a farm near Monroe City, Missouri, she was drawn to music from a young age. Alongside her sisters, she formed a trio and toured local fairs, later joining a band called the Crossroads. Though her early attempts at a solo recording career met with limited success, destiny led her to Jim Ed Brown, and together they created enduring classics like Saying Hello, Saying I Love You, Saying Goodbye, If the World Ran Out of Love Tonight, and Morning Comes Too Early. Their voices intertwined with a natural ease that fans remembered long after the final notes faded. Even after their partnership ended in the early 1980s, Helen continued to captivate audiences. She toured with the Statler Brothers, starred in musical productions like Annie Get Your Gun, and won over Branson residents nightly at venues such as Nashville South and the Jim Stafford Theater. Her gentle presence and heartfelt delivery made her a fixture in music variety programs and a beloved regular on Country's Family Reunion, where fans felt as if they were reconnecting with a dear friend. Helen Cornelius passed away on July 18, 2025, leaving behind not just recordings but entire moments, people swaying under concert lights, couples slow dancing in living rooms, and generations humming melody after melody. Even now, listeners return to her duets, revisiting the warmth in her voice and the way her lyrics captured human emotion with simple elegance. Her legacy lives on in every radio station that plays those tender harmonies, in every Branson theater that still honors her memory, and in every musician who learned that grace and sincerity can be the most memorable notes of all. Long after the final curtain, her music remains a gentle echo of honesty, craftsmanship, and heart. Brad Pitt is more than one of Hollywood's most enduring stars. He is a cultural figure whose influence spans far beyond the screen. Over a career that has stretched across 4 decades, he has redefined what it means to be a leading man, seamlessly balancing blockbuster charisma with a fearless willingness to take on unconventional, challenging roles. His name appears on a long list of critical and commercial triumphs, and through his production company, Plan B Entertainment, he has helped bring to life some of the most celebrated films of the 21st century, including 12 Years a Slave, Moonlight, and The Departed. These achievements, paired with his philanthropic work and quiet advocacy for social causes, have shaped a legacy that is as much about integrity and vision as it is about fame and awards. Yet behind this public success lies a story shaped not only by ambition and opportunity, but also by personal loss. Among the most profound was the passing of his mother, Jane Pitt, a guiding presence whose warmth, wisdom, and unwavering belief in her son's potential had been a constant source of strength. Her absence left a void that no accolade could fill, deepening Brad's awareness of life's fragility and the value of compassion. Those who knew their bond say it helped ground him even in the whirlwind of fame and inspired much of the quiet generosity he would later show to causes close to his heart. But the story of Brad Pitt's ascent begins far from the glamour of Hollywood. William Bradley Pitt was born on December 18, 1963, in Shawnee, Oklahoma. Not long after, his family moved to Springfield, Missouri, where he would spend his formative years. His father, Bill, worked as a trucking company manager, instilling values of discipline and persistence, while his mother, Jane, served as a school counselor, embodying empathy, patience, and unwavering support for her children's dreams. Their home was one of stability and modest comfort, rooted in Middle American values that would remain with Brad long after he became a global icon. From an early age, Brad was outgoing and full of energy, a boy drawn to the world beyond his immediate surroundings. He played sports, joined school clubs, and worked part-time jobs, but his greatest fascination was reserved for the movies. Springfield's local cinemas became both his escape and his classroom. There, under the glow of the big screen, he absorbed the craft of storytelling and the magnetism of great performers, screen legends whose charisma and emotional depth made acting seem like both an art and an adventure. Though he didn't yet have a clear plan, he knew he wanted to be part of that world. At Kickapoo High School, Brad balanced academics with a wide array of extracurricular activities. He was a member of the golf, tennis, and swimming teams, participated in student government, and even performed in school musicals. These experiences, though varied, revealed a common thread, a desire to connect with people, whether through competition, leadership, or performance. This instinct to engage, paired with a strong work ethic, would become one of his defining traits. In 1983, Brad enrolled at the University of Missouri, majoring in journalism with a focus on advertising. It was a practical choice, one that promised stability, yet it also reflected his interest in communication and visual media. Still, the allure of film remained. During his final semester, with graduation just weeks away, he made a decision that would alter the course of his life. He left school, loaded his belongings into a car, and drove west to Los Angeles. The move was a leap of faith, made without industry connections or guarantees. In that moment, Brad Pitt traded certainty for possibility, fueled only by ambition, youthful courage, and a belief that the magic he had felt as a boy in those darkened theaters could be something he might one day create himself. It was the first step on a journey that would carry him from the quiet neighborhoods of Springfield to the heart of the film industry, and eventually into the realm of Hollywood legend. When Brad Pitt first arrived in Los Angeles, he carried little more than determination, a few personal belongings, and a quiet conviction that he was meant to be part of the world he had admired from the darkened seats of a movie theater. The city was sprawling and unforgiving, teeming with aspiring actors, all chasing the same dream. Yet he embraced its challenge. To make ends meet, Brad threw himself into an array of odd jobs, delivering refrigerators, chauffeuring limousines, and even standing on street corners in a giant chicken suit to promote a fast food restaurant. These were humble beginnings, but they bought him time to pursue what truly mattered. That pursuit began in earnest when he enrolled in acting classes, immersing himself in the craft with the same discipline and focus he had learned from his parents. He studied the subtleties of expression, the rhythm of dialogue, the ways in which movement could tell a story. His days were a mix of auditions, rejections, and the occasional small victory, a brief role on a television show here, a walk-on part in a low-budget film there. Each experience, however modest, became a building block, sharpening his instincts and deepening his understanding of the work. Even in the smallest parts, Brad carried something that caught people's attention. His striking looks were undeniable, but it was his natural ease before the camera and his ability to bring sincerity to a scene that made him memorable. Casting directors began to see not just a handsome newcomer, but an actor who listened, learned, and adapted quickly. By the close of these early years, Brad had quietly assembled a foundation of skills, relationships, and resilience. He had learned to navigate the complex machinery of the entertainment industry, to turn rejection into motivation, and to keep his focus on the long game. Beneath the surface of these modest beginnings, momentum was building. The young man who had driven west in search of possibility was now standing on the threshold of a breakthrough, one that would soon propel him from background roles into the full light of Hollywood's stage. Brad Pitt's defining breakthrough arrived in 1991 with a role so brief yet so unforgettable that it changed the course of his career. As J.D., the charming, smooth-talking drifter in Thelma and Louise, he appeared on screen for only a few minutes. But those minutes were pure cinematic electricity with a cowboy hat tipped just so, an easy grin, and an undercurrent of danger. Brad Pitt turned a small part into a cultural moment. Audiences left theaters talking about him. Critics took note. Casting directors began to see him as more than just another handsome newcomer. This was a star in the making. Over the next few years, Pitt proved that his breakout was no fluke. In A River Runs Through It, 1992, he portrayed Paul McLean, a rebellious yet deeply soulful young man whose charisma and tragic arc became the film's beating heart. His performance, full of subtlety and restraint, revealed that he could move beyond charm and deliver emotional depth, earning praise from both audiences and critics. The quiet poetry of the role suggested an actor willing to disappear into character, even when the camera adored him. 1994 marked a pivotal year in solidifying his range. In Interview with the Vampire, Pitt stepped into the brooding role of Louis, an immortal cursed with a conscience. Sharing the screen with veteran actors, he brought vulnerability and moral weight to a gothic fantasy, holding his own amid lavish sets and larger-than-life performances. That same year in Legends of the Fall, he embodied Tristan Ludlow, a wild, untamed spirit bound to both love and tragedy. With windswept hair, fierce eyes, and a performance that oscillated between raw tenderness and fierce intensity, Pitt became a romantic icon for a generation. Between 1991 and 1994, Brad Pitt transformed from a promising face into a full-fledged Hollywood leading man. He demonstrated that he could bridge two worlds, the magnetic appeal of a movie star and the commitment to craft of a serious actor. These years not only launched him into the global spotlight, but also defined the quality's versatility, authenticity, and a willingness to take risks that would guide his career for decades to come. By the end of this era, Brad Pitt wasn't just part of Hollywood. He was helping to reshape its very idea of what a leading man could be. From 1995 to 2005, Pitt entered a transformative decade, one that would solidify him as both a bankable leading man and a fearless actor unafraid to take on unconventional, challenging material. This was the period when he began to shed the last remnants of his early, pretty boy label, choosing instead to pursue roles that were psychologically layered, morally complex, and often daring in their execution. In 1995, Pitt delivered two career-defining performances that signaled this shift. In C7N, under David Fincher's meticulous direction, he played Detective David Mills, a young investigator drawn into a grim and harrowing murder case. The film's dark tone and devastating finale demanded emotional intensity and raw vulnerability, both of which Pitt delivered with conviction. That same year, he transformed himself into Jeffrey Goins in 12 Monkeys, an erratic, fast-talking mental patient whose every movement and glance felt unpredictable. The performance earned him a Golden Globe Award for Best Supporting Actor and his first Academy Award nomination, proving beyond question that he possessed the skill to disappear completely into character. His partnership with Fincher continued in Fight Club, 1999, a film that would become one of the defining cultural touchstones of its era. As Tyler Durden, Pitt embodied a volatile mix of charisma, danger, and philosophical provocation. Though polarizing upon its initial release, Fight Club evolved into a cult classic, with Pitt's performance standing as one of his most iconic, an unflinching portrayal of rebellion against conformity and consumerism. During this decade, Pitt also embraced the art of ensemble storytelling. In Steven Soderbergh's Ocean's 11, 2001, and its sequels, he portrayed Rusty Ryan, the effortlessly cool strategist whose sharp wit and understated humor made him one of the franchise's most beloved characters. These films showcased his impeccable timing and ease on screen, reinforcing his ability to shine in lighter, more comedic fare without losing depth. In 2005, Pitt starred opposite Angelina Jolie in Mr. and Mrs. Smith, an action comedy romance that became a worldwide box office sensation. The film not only displayed his knack for blending action and humor, but also marked a turning point in his personal life, drawing intense media attention that would follow him for years. Through it all, Pitt maintained a public image rooted in professionalism and grounded charm. Despite being one of the most photographed men in the world, he navigated fame with a balance of accessibility and privacy, letting his body of work define his public identity. Whether exploring the darkest corners of human behavior, embodying a cultural anti-hero, or anchoring blockbuster entertainment, Brad Pitt during this decade proved himself to be more than a star. He was an artist, shaping the conversation about what Hollywood's leading men could be. This era didn't just elevate his career, it helped redefine the possibilities of modern stardom. From 2006 to 2016, Brad Pitt entered what would become one of the most artistically defining and impactful phases of his career, a period where he evolved from an acclaimed actor into a respected producer, tastemaker, and champion of meaningful cinema. This was the decade in which his influence extended beyond the roles he played, shaping the very stories that reached audiences around the world. As co-founder of Plan B Entertainment, Pitt set out to build a production company that prioritized quality over formula, courage over predictability, and artistry over mere box office returns. Under his guidance, Plan B developed a reputation for backing bold projects that spoke to both the heart and the conscience. The company produced The Departed, 2006, 12 Years a Slave, 2013, and Moonlight, 2016, 3 films that went on to win the Academy Award for Best Picture. These were not safe bets. They were daring, thought-provoking works that challenged audiences and reflected Pitt's commitment to meaningful storytelling. His role as a producer went far deeper than lending his name. He was directly involved in championing these films, ensuring they had the resources, creative freedom, and distribution support to succeed. Even while helping shape the industry behind the scenes, Pitt's on-screen career was equally ambitious. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, 2008, saw him embody a man aging in reverse, a role that required both technical precision and emotional vulnerability. The performance earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor and reminded audiences of his extraordinary versatility. In Inglourious Basterds, 2009, under Quentin Tarantino's direction, he brought charisma and humor to the role of Lieutenant Aldo Raine, leading an ensemble in one of the decade's most celebrated films. In Moneyball, 2011, Pitt portrayed real-life baseball executive Billy Beane with understated depth, delivering a nuanced performance that earned him another Best Actor nomination. That same year, he starred in Terrence Malick's The Tree of Life, a meditative and visually stunning work exploring memory, faith, and family, where his performance blended strict authority with quiet tenderness. In The Big Short, 2015, Pitt balanced an ensemble role with his responsibilities as producer, helping to bring to the screen a sharp, satirical look at the 2008 financial collapse. The through line across all of these projects, whether he was acting or producing, was intention. Pitt sought out films that mattered, projects that would resonate beyond their opening weekend. His collaborations during this time read like a who's who of modern auteur cinema: Martin Scorsese, Steve McQueen, Barry Jenkins, Terrence Malick, Adam McKay, and Quentin Tarantino. Each partnership reflected a shared desire to tell stories with depth, artistry, and purpose. By the end of this decade, Brad Pitt had transformed his image from Hollywood leading man to a multifaceted creative force. Through Plan B, he had proven that he could help produce commercially viable films without sacrificing artistic integrity. Through his acting choices, he showed that star power could be used in service of challenging narratives. The result was a body of work that not only entertained, but also expanded the cultural conversation, cementing his place not just in Hollywood history, but in the broader legacy of modern cinema. Brad Pitt's personal life has long unfolded under one of the brightest spotlights in the world, a reality that has intertwined his most intimate moments with the public's fascination. His relationships have often been at the center of this attention. From his marriage to Jennifer Aniston, one of the most closely watched unions of its time, to his later marriage to Angelina Jolie, with whom he built a family of 6 children. 3 of their children were biological, while 3 were adopted internationally, reflecting a shared commitment to a diverse global family. For Pitt, fatherhood was transformative, offering joy, grounding, and a sense of purpose that no award or box office triumph could match. Yet the same visibility that amplified his career also magnified his personal challenges. The end of his marriages, particularly his high-profile split from Jolie, was scrutinized in exhaustive detail by the media, making private grief a matter of public consumption. In these times, Pitt faced not only personal upheaval, but also the relentless churn of speculation and judgment that accompanies celebrity. Over decades, he had learned to navigate this cycle with a careful balance, sharing enough of himself to remain genuine, while fiercely protecting the sanctity of his family and personal growth. Beyond the headlines, Pitt consistently used his influence to champion causes close to his heart. In 2007, he founded the Make It Right Foundation, dedicated to building affordable, environmentally sustainable homes for communities devastated by natural disasters. The initiative's most prominent effort unfolded in New Orleans' Lower Ninth Ward after Hurricane Katrina, where hundreds of homes were constructed to help restore a neighborhood deeply scarred by the storm. This work reflected not only Pitt's philanthropic commitment, but also his passion for design, architecture, and long-term community resilience. His charitable efforts extended well beyond housing. Pitt supported global humanitarian initiatives, environmental conservation projects, and organizations addressing health crises and social justice. These commitments remained steady through the highs and lows of his personal life, underscoring a consistent drive to contribute to the world beyond the confines of the film industry. The personal losses and family changes he endured did not diminish his generosity or his dedication to purposeful work. Instead, they seemed to deepen his empathy and strengthen his resolve. Today, Brad Pitt's life story is not defined solely by cinematic achievements or the glare of fame. It is also shaped by the ways he has sought to give back, to stand for something larger than himself, and to use his platform for meaningful impact. In doing so, he has shown that resilience, compassion, and a sense of responsibility can coexist with the demands of global stardom, leaving a legacy that reaches far beyond the screen. In the aftermath of his high-profile divorce, Brad Pitt stepped into a chapter of life defined not by red carpets or box office headlines, but by a raw and unfiltered confrontation with himself. The public watched as custody battles played out in courtrooms and tabloids, every moment magnified under a lens that allowed little space for quiet healing. The man who had been one of Hollywood's most recognizable figures was now navigating a deeply personal storm, one that would test not only his resilience, but also his capacity for grace under relentless scrutiny. Pitt's public image, built over decades, was suddenly reframed through a more human lens. Choosing to speak with rare honesty, he acknowledged the toll of years spent in the spotlight, the mistakes that had strained relationships, and the unhealthy patterns he knew he had to leave behind. In interviews, his words carried the weight of someone no longer interested in perfection, but in truth. Sobriety became not just a choice, but a lifeline. Therapy offered a mirror for self-examination. The journey was not linear, yet each step marked a deliberate move toward becoming a better father, a more grounded man, and a more conscious artist. These inner shifts inevitably influenced his professional path. Gone were the days of accepting roles purely for commercial allure. Instead, Pitt began aligning himself with stories that resonated with his evolving worldview, narratives about endurance, moral conflict, and the fragile beauty of human connection. Through Plan B Entertainment, he championed films that challenged audiences and carried weight beyond entertainment value. His work became a reflection of the questions he was asking in his own life. What does it mean to change, to atone, to rebuild? Beyond the camera, Pitt sought spaces where fame held no power, gardens, workshops, and studios where he could work with his hands. Architecture and design became sanctuaries, allowing him to create tangible, lasting forms of beauty in a world where so much felt transient. In these quieter pursuits, he found a way to channel both creativity and peace. Most important of all, he devoted himself to his children, finding joy in moments far removed from paparazzi lenses. School events, shared meals, simple conversations that built the foundation for renewed trust. Through it all, Pitt's transformation was less about reinvention and more about deepening. The charm and talent that once defined him remained, but they were now accompanied by a humility born from loss and reflection. In facing his own fragility with openness, he reminded the world that strength is not about avoiding pain, but about moving through it with honesty and intention. His journey stands as a quiet testament. Even in the most public of lives, the truest victories are often won in private, and the greatest roles are played not on screen, but in the ongoing drama of becoming one's best self. By the time Brad Pitt entered his mid-50s, many might have expected him to slow down, to settle into the role of a Hollywood elder statesman coasting on past glory. Instead, he chose reinvention. With the quiet confidence of someone who no longer needed to prove himself, Pitt embraced projects that blended artistic ambition with mainstream appeal, solidifying his place as a figure who could bridge generations of moviegoers. The defining moment of this chapter came with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, 2019, Quentin Tarantino's nostalgic love letter to a bygone era of cinema. As stuntman Cliff Booth, Pitt delivered a performance that was at once understated and magnetic, embodying loyalty, quiet resilience, and a hint of mystery. The role earned him the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, marking his first Oscar for acting. At over 50, he stood on the Dolby Theater stage not as the fresh-faced star of the 90s, but as a seasoned craftsman who had weathered life's storms and emerged with his artistry sharper than ever. Yet Pitt's range during these years stretched far beyond that golden statue. In Ad Astra, 2019, he explored themes of isolation, legacy, and reconciliation between father and son, delivering a nuanced, introspective performance that resonated deeply with audiences. Then came Bullet Train, 2022, a kinetic, darkly comedic action ride that reminded the world he could still anchor a big-budget spectacle while never losing his playful charm. Parallel to his acting choices, Pitt's work as a producer through Plan B Entertainment flourished. The company continued its remarkable streak, backing films that were both critically lauded and socially relevant, stories that challenged norms, expanded perspectives, and reflected the complexity of the human condition. These successes reinforced Pitt's reputation not just as a star, but as a tastemaker, someone committed to nurturing cinema as both an art form and a vehicle for cultural conversation. Away from the spotlight, Pitt's public presence evolved. The easy charisma was still there, but it was now accompanied by an aura of introspection, a sense that he had learned the value of choosing when and how to step forward. He was no longer everywhere at once, and that restraint made each appearance, each performance feel like an event. In this era, Pitt's career became a testament to adaptability and longevity. He demonstrated that reinvention is not about abandoning the past, but about carrying its lessons forward into new territory. At a time when the industry itself was shifting, navigating streaming revolutions, changing audience tastes, and a global pandemic, he proved that authenticity, craft, and a willingness to take creative risks could still command the world's attention. This chapter of his journey was not merely about sustaining relevance, it was about redefining it on his own terms. In the years from 2023 to 2025, Brad Pitt embarked on perhaps the most exhilarating chapter of his career, a period marked by creative audacity and global resonance. At the center of this transformation stood F1, the movie, 2025. As the lead actor, Pitt dove headfirst into a world that married his magnetic screen presence with the raw thrill of international sport. The film, shot across actual Grand Prix circuits, was a bold experiment, blending high-speed adrenaline with cinematic storytelling. Audiences responded in kind. F1, the movie soared to become the highest-grossing project of Pitt's career, a testament not only to his bankability, but to the power of taking unexpected creative detours. Filming on real F1 tracks, Monaco, Silverstone, Spa, lent the movie an authenticity few sports films achieve. The roar of engines, the tension of competition, the raw chemistry between characters, all were captured through Pitt's grounded performance. He navigated the line between athlete and artist with fluidity, bringing empathy to a character defined by speed and ambition. It was a reminder that even after decades in the industry, he was still daring to step into new terrains, challenging expectations with every turn of the wheel. Off-camera, these years were just as dynamic. Plan B Entertainment began a new evolution. In response to an ever-globalizing market, the company restructured its operations, expanded offices, forged international alliances, and repositioned itself to tell stories across borders and cultures. Pitt once again showed himself not only as a leading actor, but as a visionary creative force, wanting to use global stories to bring people together. In interviews following the release of F1, the movie, Pitt spoke not of triumph, but of gratitude, for the opportunity to explore something entirely new, for the collaborative spirit of his cast and crew, and for the audiences around the world who embraced the ride. It was a deeply human moment for a man whose career has spanned continents and genres. The thrill of innovation, the humility of collaboration, and the joy of connecting with hearts through unexpected stories. This chapter, where high-octane spectacle met thoughtful storytelling, and where international expansion met personal artistry, speaks to the essence of Brad Pitt's legacy, a relentless pursuit of creative growth, even when the road leads somewhere entirely new. In the speeding roar of those engines, he reminded the world, and perhaps himself, that passion, once ignited, can keep burning brightly no matter how many laps have passed. Brad Pitt's legacy extends far beyond the box office. Over 3 decades, he redefined what it means to be a leading man, shattering the one-dimensional mold of the handsome hero and replacing it with layered human portrayals that merged vulnerability with charisma. In doing so, he proved that mass appeal and artistic depth need not be opposing forces. They can coexist in one compelling presence. His impact also reshaped contemporary ideas of masculinity. Pitt's willingness to explore flawed, complex, and sometimes broken characters opened space for a new kind of male identity on screen, one where strength could be tempered by tenderness and confidence by self-reflection. This influence spilled beyond cinema into global culture, inspiring conversations about authenticity and emotional openness in men, especially in an era hungry for more nuanced representations. Fashion, too, bore his imprint. Whether in red carpet tailoring that set trends for years or in casual off-duty looks that blended classic ease with a touch of irreverence, Pitt became a style reference point. His choices often blurred the lines between rugged and refined, shaping how a generation dressed and thought about self-presentation. Behind the scenes, he emerged as a model for the modern actor-producer. With Plan B Entertainment, Pitt demonstrated that actors could move seamlessly into shaping the creative landscape itself, selecting daring projects, nurturing new voices, and taking risks that studios sometimes avoided. His commitment to meaningful storytelling influenced how Hollywood viewed independent-minded production within a mainstream framework, proving that commercial viability and artistic ambition could walk hand in hand. Brad Pitt's cultural footprint is one of both evolution and endurance. He has remained relevant not by clinging to the past, but by continually redefining himself, and in turn, the industry around him. In cinema, style, and cultural dialogue, his presence is not just remembered. It is still actively shaping the way stories are told and the way we see ourselves within them. Brad Pitt's career is defined not only by its longevity, but by a remarkable sequence of performances and productions that have left an enduring imprint on modern cinema. From the moment he turned heads as the charismatic drifter in Thelma and Louise, 1991, it was clear that a new force had arrived. He built on that momentum with A River Runs Through It and the haunting psychological crime drama C7N, 1995, where he revealed a capacity for intensity and moral complexity. That same year, his fearless transformation in 12 Monkeys earned him his first Academy Award nomination and a Golden Globe win, signaling his standing among Hollywood's most compelling actors. The cultural phenomenon of Fight Club, 1999, a bold collaboration with David Fincher, cemented his reputation for risk-taking, while Ocean's 11, 2001, and its sequels showcased his effortless charm and ensemble chemistry. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, 2005, fused action and romance, becoming a global hit that underscored his box office draw. As his artistry deepened, Pitt embraced more nuanced roles, aging in reverse in The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, 2008, delivering sharp, scene-stealing work in Quentin Tarantino's Inglourious Basterds, 2009, and embodying strategic genius in Moneyball, 2011. He lent both gravitas and vision to The Big Short, 2015, while continuing to guide daring projects as a producer. In 2019, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood brought him to a new career pinnacle, winning the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. His second Academy Award after producing 12 years, A Slave, 2013, which won Best Picture. Most recently, his lead in F1, the movie 2025, has marked one of the most commercially triumphant moments of his career, blending the spectacle of sport with his enduring screen magnetism. Across decades, Pitt's shelves have filled with honors: 2 Oscars, multiple Golden Globes, a BAFTA, and Screen Actors Guild Awards, alongside a wealth of nominations. Yet perhaps his greatest accolade is the trust of audiences worldwide, earned through a career that consistently balances star power with a dedication to meaningful, memorable storytelling.